No, the nuts and bolts.
I don't know if they do or not. I think
the story you've been telling me, I'm almost not sure that they might know. Maybe they don't want to admit they don't know.
Yeah, that could be. And in the meantime, we have
take them to court to produce the information.
I'll be lucky if they don't take me to court, Big, in their effort to get rid of this messenger here.
All right. So the dirt's a mess still. Has that been resolved?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. Are you? We should tell an average normal person, because let's face it, you are not normal. I'm not normal, and maybe Mike's not normal. But we're not going to say a word about Diane. That's for sure. So, at any rate, but the average person has to know that these quests for honesty and good numbers and answers is never simple.
That is correct.
And you have to have some stick-to-itiveness and some guts.
Yeah, and you need to have real accountability and real transparency.
Right.
And real consequences for poor actions, poor choices.
Right.
They don't exist in government.
All right, so you got appointed to a committee. Is Mike on the same committee?
No, sir.
Okay, so you're on a committee, and so Donnie Burnett is all concerned because this is making him look bad. Does he want to be the next mayor?
Oh, very much so.
Very much so.
He can taste it.
He can taste it, okay. And he's a nice guy. I'm on a board with him, and I see him regularly. I'm sure this is causing him sleepless nights because you're right. I know when that bug bites you, it's a terrible thing. So now there's something where they're asking for public records from you. That's very out of the ordinary. And now you say they've been exempted from an ordinance that they passed.
That is correct.
Can you just give us a hint about that?
Yes, sir. The governing law here is state law, the public records law, and certainly Florida has been in the forefront of public records.
Yeah, I belong to the First Amendment Foundation. You should belong to that. It doesn't cost much to join, and that woman up there is a great help to you.
She is. So we have the backdrop is going to be our Florida state statutes that govern it. And then Port Orange, in its wisdom, probably about 6 months ago, decided to go further than state law, and they dictated or mandated that those serving on volunteer boards had to surrender, had to give up any public records that they may have in their possession.
What's that mean?
No one knows what it means, Big, because...
I think I'm a junkie. I think I know as much about government, local government in Volusia County as anybody does, and I didn't understand what you just told me.
Yeah, well, the inference clearly would be that somehow volunteer board members are in possession of public records.
Secret public records.
That the city itself is not in possession of.
Uh-huh.
So clearly, if I write an email to the manager, that is a public record by virtue of the fact that...
Well, it is a public record.
Yes, sir. And then if he writes me back, it's a public record.
Right.
But in neither instance do I have a public record that the city doesn't have.
So they want to know what you know that they don't know.
Quite possibly. And
now, you said they exempted the city commission from this action.
That is correct. The new ordinance that they brought in only applied to their board members. It didn't apply to them themselves.
You should either send it to First Amendment or give it to me. I'll send it to First Amendment, and we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, but the real tragedy here is that the city has now put a club in the hands of anybody that wants to avail of it. As did the manager, the outgoing manager. He said, "Gee, Ted, I noticed you carry around some binders, the ones I would take back and forth to the audit and budget meetings." And he asked me to produce them, to let him look through it, which
Tell him the hell with you, buddy.
Which I gladly did.
Why did you?
Why wouldn't I? I mean, there's nothing in those binders that...
didn't come from him, right?
Those didn't come from him to begin with. But
maybe he liked the way you put it together.
Yes, maybe. But the sad part, the tragedy here, is that when he was done, he was quoted in the News Journal. I never did speak to him, but he was quoted in the News Journal as he didn't believe Noftall had given him everything. So now what we've got is we've got an ordinance in place that can never be proved. It can never be satisfied.
Yeah.
Because you can now charge me, accuse me of having documents.
Withholding.
Withholding. Right.
I hope they take you to court. You know, the city of Holly Hill want to take me to court for saying they stole the CRA money. We're not going to get down to that level of specificity, right? And I'd sit there thinking, God, I wish they would take me to court. I wish they would take me to court. And they never did. It was like when I don't like to show off, Mike, but I do have a PhD in tyrology. Okay, so what was the guy that tires ain't pretty over there in Orlando? So I put in the way they used to screw you, with all the hidden charges. Their tire was cheaper, but by the time they got done with you, they made some money on you, right? And I called them tire dealer A it's Allied, right? And I called them tire dealer A, and then Big John, right? And I showed how the prices end up at the bottom, right? And they sent me a letter, cease and desist, or else we're going to take you to court, right? And I kept praying that they would take me to court, and they never did. So anyway, so that'd be a wonderful thing. All right, so is everybody on the city? Is it commission or council? What do you call it?
Council, I do believe.
Okay, so is everyone on the city council? Are there 5 of them on the city council?
The mayor and 4 councilmen.
Yeah, 5
total of 5.
Yeah. So are they all equally guilty of stupidity, or are some of them good people on the city commission, the city council?
Yes, sir. I would answer that as they have all been equally ineffective.
Okay.
But there's no doubt about it, Ford stands out as the only one who has been the most adamant about installing some accountability, responsibility, transparency to our city government. He does stand out from his other 3 counterparts on that issue. But even with his activity in that area, the council as a whole has still been ineffective.
Now he's in a runoff election.
Yes, sir.
And he's running against some lady. Do you know her?
Sonia Laney is her name.
Yeah.
And yes, I know her. She was on the Audit and Budget Board as well.
Oh, with you?
Yes.
And that's been suspended, so you can't cause any more trouble.
Yes.
Yeah. I personally don't think that it should have anything to do with your activity whatsoever. It just gives you more free time to do what you want to do.
Well, yes, and ironically, the Audit and Budget Board got credit that it was never deserving of. Most of these items that came to light were not ferreted out by this board. They were ferreted out by board members.
It's been my understanding through the course of my public life that a board like that is oftentimes given dog and pony shows to keep them busy and keep them out of trouble. Was that the case?
Yeah. I understand exactly what you're referring to, and that I think is the final straw that broke Burnett's back. For example, I just was not playing the game as a dutiful
they made you important, and they gave you something to say. I'm on this very powerful board, right? And you didn't think it was as important as he did.
No, but in the end,
Goliath's going to bark. Just 1 second.
Goliath's bark means it's WELE 1380 Ormond Beach.
Okay, Ted.
Yep. So what they did was they really started